Well, folks, here we are again, standing on the precipice of another monumental event. The 2024 US presidential election looms large, casting a long and imposing shadow over the months ahead. It's a political colossus, a behemoth that will undoubtedly shape the future of the nation. It's shaping up to be another nail-biter, a real barn-burner of an election with emotions running high and stakes even higher. Two familiar figures dominate the landscape, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Both seasoned in the political arena, both carry significant baggage, both inspire passionate support and fervent opposition, making this a highly charged contest. But one thing's for sure, the outcome will reverberate far beyond American shores, impacting global politics and economies. So buckle up, buttercups, as we dive deep into the potential ramifications of a Harris or Trump victory, exploring every possible scenario. Now predicting the future is a fool's errand, especially in the unpredictable world of politics. I mean, half the time I can't even predict what I'm having for dinner, let alone the outcome of such a complex election. But we can make educated guesses based on past behavior, stated policies, and the current political climate, giving us some insight. Let's start with a hypothetical Harris victory, shall we? What could it mean for the country and the world at large? Imagine, if you will, a crisp January day in 2025. The air is filled with anticipation and the promise of a new chapter in American history. Kamala Harris, the first woman and first person of color to hold the office, is sworn in as President of the United States. Her inauguration marks a significant milestone in the nation's journey towards inclusivity and representation. What might her presidency look like? How will she navigate the complexities of leading a diverse and divided nation? Harris would likely continue many of the current administration's policies, particularly in areas like healthcare and climate change. Her commitment to these issues has been unwavering. She's been a vocal advocate for expanding access to healthcare and tackling the climate crisis. Her speeches often highlight the urgency of these matters. We could expect to see a big push for renewable energy, stricter environmental regulations, and innovative solutions to reduce carbon emissions, and maybe even a return to the Paris Climate Agreement. Rejoining this international accord would signal a renewed commitment to global cooperation on climate issues. However, Harris is also her own woman with her own ideas. Her leadership style and priorities may bring fresh perspectives to the White House. We might see a shift in emphasis on certain issues like criminal justice reform. This area has been a focal point of her career. Her background as a prosecutor gives her a unique perspective on this issue. She understands the intricacies of the legal system and the need for balanced reform. She's talked about the need for sentencing reform, advocating for fairer and more just legal processes, addressing racial bias in the criminal justice system, and working towards equality and justice for all communities, and investing in community policing. This approach aims to build trust and cooperation between law enforcement and the communities they serve. Whether these ideas translate into concrete action remains to be seen. The journey ahead is filled with challenges and opportunities, and only time will tell how this new chapter unfolds. Now, let's flip the script and imagine a different scenario. Donald Trump, back in the Oval Office for a second term. Picture it. The familiar face, the unmistakable style, the return of a controversial figure. What would that mean for America and the world? Well, for starters, you can bet your bottom dollar that things would get interesting, to say the least. The political landscape would shift dramatically and the global community would be on high alert. Trump's first term was anything but predictable, a 4-year roller coaster ride of tweets, scandals, and policy whiplash. From unexpected executive orders to late-night Twitter storms, it was a period of constant upheaval. A second term would likely be more of the same, only with a healthy dose of experience and a burning desire to settle scores. Imagine the policies, the speeches, the rallies, all with a renewed vigor and determination. Trump has already hinted at some of his priorities for a second term, including further tax cuts, aiming to boost the economy and put more money in the pockets of Americans. A continued hardline on immigration, with promises to strengthen the border and enforce stricter immigration laws, and a more isolationist approach to foreign policy, focusing on America first and reducing international commitments. He's also made it clear that he intends to continue his crusade against what he calls fake news and the deep state, aiming to reshape the media landscape and government institutions. Buckle up, America. It could be a bumpy ride. The next 4 years could be a wild journey full of twists and turns as the nation navigates through uncharted waters. The economy is always a key issue in any election, and 2024 will be no different. So how might the economy fare under a Harris or Trump presidency? A Harris administration would likely focus on continuing the current economic recovery while addressing income inequality. Expect to see policies aimed at raising the minimum wage, expanding access to affordable healthcare, and investing in education and job training. A Trump administration, on the other hand, would likely double down on the policies of his first term: tax cuts, deregulation, and protectionist trade policies. While these policies could lead to short-term economic growth, they could also exacerbate income inequality and increase the national debt. Two visions of social policies: a split future for America. Social issues are often a flashpoint in American politics, and the 2024 election will be no exception. Harris and Trump offer starkly different visions for America's future. Harris is a strong supporter of abortion rights, LGBTQ+ equality, and gun control. She's also spoken out against systemic racism and police brutality. Expect to see a Harris administration prioritize these issues, potentially leading to clashes with a Republican-controlled Congress. Trump, on the other hand, has aligned himself with conservative positions on these issues. He's appointed conservative judges to the Supreme Court, rolled back environmental regulations, and taken a hard line on immigration. A second Trump term would likely see a continuation of these policies, potentially igniting further cultural and political divisions. Their foreign policies, navigating a harsh, turbulent world. The world is a complex and dangerous place, and the United States plays a pivotal role on the global stage. So how might Harris and Trump approach foreign policy? Harris has expressed support for a strong American role in the world, working with allies to address global challenges like climate change and nuclear proliferation. She's also been critical of authoritarian leaders and human rights abuses. Trump's foreign policy, on the other hand, has been characterized by its unpredictability and its emphasis on America first. He's withdrawn the US from international agreements, imposed tariffs on allies and adversaries alike, and cozied up to authoritarian leaders. A second Trump term could see a continuation of this approach, potentially straining alliances and upending the global order. The impacts for climate change: urgent action or delayed response. Climate change is one of the most pressing issues facing humanity, and the United States has a crucial role to play in addressing it. But Harris and Trump have vastly different views on the issue. Harris has called climate change an existential threat and has pledged to take aggressive action to address it. She supported policies aimed at transitioning to a clean energy economy, investing in renewable energy and reducing carbon emissions. Trump, on the other hand, has dismissed climate change as a hoax and has rolled back environmental regulations. He's withdrawn the US from the Paris Climate Agreement and has championed the fossil fuel industry. A second Trump term would likely see a continuation of these policies, potentially accelerating the pace of climate change. Their great impacts on the Supreme Court: two options. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, and its decisions have a profound impact on American life. The next president will likely have the opportunity to appoint one or more justices to the court, potentially shaping its ideological balance for decades to come. Harris would likely appoint justices who are committed to upholding abortion rights, LGBTQ+ equality, and affirmative action. She might also choose justices who are more willing to overturn precedent, particularly in areas like campaign finance and voting rights. Trump has already appointed 3 justices to the court, cementing a conservative majority. He's made it clear that he intends to appoint justices who will overturn Roe v. Wade and uphold his administration's policies. A second Trump term would give him the opportunity to further reshape the court in his image. How the power of your vote will make it count. Look, I know this is a lot to process. Politics can feel like a never-ending dumpster fire, and it's tempting to just tune it all out. But here's the thing. This election matters. It matters for America and it matters for the world. Your vote is your voice. It's your chance to have a say in the future of your country. Don't let anyone tell you that your vote doesn't count. It does. It absolutely does. How will international viewers be impacted with the election's results? Now, I know we've got a lot of viewers from outside the US, and you might be thinking, this doesn't affect me, I don't get a vote. And you're right, you don't. But the outcome of this election will have ripple effects across the globe. The US is a global superpower, and its actions have consequences for everyone. So even if you can't cast a ballot, you can still make your voice heard. Talk to your friends and family about the election, engage with the issues on social media, and most importantly, stay informed. You're probably wondering, that's it. Yes, that's the message, folks. Stay informed, stay engaged, and for the love of all that is holy, please vote if you're legally registered to vote. And while you're at it, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? It's the least you can do after sitting through this political dissertation. Until next time, America. Godspeed, and try not to burn it all down before then.